is here to help me, celebrate what I'm doing in the community.
So I actually heard you say a lot about family, and how important family is. And I also heard you mention naysayers and, how sometimes folks that you think you've grown up with that should be more supportive, who may not be. But do you still, outside of your biological family, do you feel the energy of family amongst any of your peers, colleagues, or other folks in this community? Do you still feel the spirit of family?
Yeah, actually, it was an honor to be invited. Mr. Billy Jones, who's a gentleman that grew up in the neighborhood, business owner, one of the guys I looked up to as a kid. He's like 10 years older than me. I remember the first time he invited me out to eat with the fellowship, which is, normally guys 10 years my age. And so that first experience going out to eat with those guys who all grew up in the Southwest community, where they get together every other month, the fellowship, and talk about, how Southwest used to be. And I was the youngest person in there. And so, the love and the respect that I got from those guys, these are the guys that I used to look up to as a kid. Now they looking up to me, saying, man, what a great job you're doing, and keep up the good work. If I go to them saying, well, if I need this, I need some toys. And they know how community is. And so, in that aspect, with the guys that's much older than me, I feel the love. But I have some friends who I went to school with. They come. We sit, we talk. And they understand. They knew my struggle, what I went through, and things like that. And we can sit on the phone and talk, and they understand the direction that I'm going, and they don't have a problem with donating. But then you have those ones. They didn't say the job was going to be easy, and a lot of people don't understand, all the roadblocks that I went through just to get where I'm at.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people didn't want to open up the doors. You had a lot of track questions when I'm going into these nonprofit organizations trying to talk about getting grant money and things like that. And the first thing they throw up, well, you used to be a drug dealer. So it was. I had to get their trust, and it had to be on a constant basis. And so right now today is that, I really don't worry about the naysayers, because they're gonna be there. Because all great leaders have their naysayers. Because if they're not talking about you,
Right.
then you're not doing something right.
Let's stop at leader. What's your idea or example of a great leader, or just a leader? We ain't gonna say, we'll start with just a leader before we go to great.
But in order for you to be a great leader, you first have to listen. See, I was a great listener as a kid, and I take in information well. And so, actually, I can remember when we first started the nonprofit almost 12 years ago. We used to be in this same very room, meeting, just getting stuff off the ground. And I remember Wally telling me, because we used Wallace Perry as, to actually help us form everything together, and Mr. Roscoe Holly, who actually put it all together for us. And I was laid back, and just listening, just trying to soak in as much information as I want. Because in my mind, I already say, well, oh, okay, I get it now, so. And once I took off, I still remember Wally coming to me and said, man, I didn't know you knew. And I said, Wally, I was listening.
Yeah.
So I don't talk that much, but my sisters think I talk a lot because I'm always observing. They told me I should have went to school for behavior science because, the mouth can say anything, but it's all about your behavior. Because, I've been listening to a lot of people say what they gonna do, and they make suggestions to me what I should do. And, I make my own suggestions what I'm going to do.
You were, speaking of you don't talk much, you were a very prominent athlete in Southwest, and in the many games I played with you and I watched you play, and you did what you did silently. You know, it was very effective, both on the basketball court, both on the football field. It was silent because you know how in competition, you know, there's a lot of conversation, a lot of jarring going on, and you absolutely right. You did what you did very well and very effectively, very quietly. There is a couple gentlemen in my family. Both are older than you and I, my dad and my uncle, who have admirable respect for you. Admirable respect for you, you know, and each time, either of those gentlemen, especially my dad, you know, each time that there was something that needed to take place in Southwest that he wanted to be a part of or that he needed some information about, you know, he sought you. He would ask me, talk to South, check in, find out, you know, and I heard you mention how you got invited to those sessions with those older guys who actually show you respect now, you know, because, man, here we go with man's men again. You know, they quietly built you up, you know, they gave you something and you so, you know, effectively give it back, you know, and like, how do you go day to day, you know, with the responsibility, you know, with the consideration of, you know, weapons that might be formed against you? Man, what encouraged you to step out your house, get in your car, walk down the street and end up back here? Like, what motivates you to do that?
I mean, the community give me fuel.
Yeah.
You know, when I step in Southwest, it's just like, okay, I'm ready.
Yeah.
You know, because I was just in the store day before yesterday. Not one, not two, not three, not four. 6 kids that came through the door. And I know this lady, she didn't know me from Adam and Eve, but she heard each one of those kids speak to me.
Yeah.
You know, conversate. Hey, South, how you doing? When you gonna start such and such? When we gonna go here? When we gonna go there? So I'm looking at the expression on this young lady's face. And she probably said, who was this guy here? So that's what fused me. And, you know, talking about your dad and your uncle, you know, I can remember Mike with the community. You know, your grandmother, you know, growing up in 1200. See, I lived at 121. Your mother, your aunt, and your grandmother stayed right over top of me in 221. You know what I'm saying? So the thing about it, you know, and that's where the listening coming in from. Because a lot of people thought I was older than what I really was.
Yeah,
You see, a lot of people thought I was older than what I really was. But to see the work that Mike was doing, even when I was in my sickness, you know, I still have respect. You see what I'm saying? For my elders, you know, and and one of the reasons I do what I do, because I can remember when my mother passed away, and I can remember all the moms on K, L, and I Street that actually knew I was in a rut, but they opened their door up to me. You know, they ain't shut me out. You know, so I take that to heart. You know, even though somebody might be at their lowest, you know, I don't shut the door on them. You know, I might give them some tough love, you know, because I know that feeling. And that's the same thing, you know, when I'm dealing with the kids, because I know that feeling, you know, back in the days when you just couldn't go in the refrigerator. You know, we ain't have 4, 5 different boxes of cereal.
Yeah.
We had one, Cheerio. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I understand some of the kids struggle who haven't had a meal.
Yeah.
You know, when I can get the food program down here, you know, not understanding, if my ear wasn't to the street, I didn't realize that there was a lot of homeless people just walking the street. So my thing is, okay, let me get to this council member and see if we can get Greenleaf folk as a hypothermia shelter. You see what I'm saying? And next, behold, 2 weeks later, okay, Greenleaf online, hypothermia shelter. Now I'm seeing some of my childhood friends, I don't shy away from them, we conversate, you know, they in the shelter. You know what I mean? But the thing is that, you know, hopefully they can get some help. Because DC, you know, they have so many opportunities. And just like I tell people, a lot of times we don't want to complete the process. Because it's there for you know. And so, you know, a lot of the kids, they didn't ask to be here. And so when I deal with them, I understand, you know, you look at, you know, it's the shoes. You know, so I got friends who, oh man, I need some shoes down here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, okay, I got some jeans, man. Whatever. Pastor come through the other day with boxes full of clothes. I know who to take them to. You know what I mean? And that's what a community person supposed. He should know everybody that lives in the community. And so one of my biggest things, I try to greet these, when I find out a vacant house and somebody to move in, I go knock on the door. Just present myself. Hi, my name's Paul, I work at the rec center. You know, if there's anything you need, a turkey basket, whatever, you know, we here for you. First thing, what this tall guy came to mind? Oh, that's the man. You know, so that's what it's all about, you know. I mean, and one of the biggest things is that, you know, a lot of people, you know, they might talk ill will about it. But I tell people, just give me the benefit of the doubt. Get to know me. You see what I'm saying? And that's what I tell people when they come telling me about somebody. Let me get to know that person. That because y'all might have something going on, you know, don't let me block my blessing. And that's all I tell people. Don't block your blessing. You might be beefing with me. I ain't beefing with nobody.
Right.
I love everybody.
Right.
Because the thing about it with Mookie, when her son walked out the house, no matter how I look,
Right.
she told me how good I look.
Right.
And that's where the confidence, a lot of people think I'm cocky.
Yeah.
But the confidence and everything, the self-esteem came from my mom.
Yeah.
You know, because she didn't let a day go past without her telling me how good I look.
Yeah.
And baby, keep your head up.
What a wonderful woman. I remember Miss Mookie, man. So you also, and I heard the caller call in and ask this question about the ladies man relationship thing, man. But you also, people also want to know, like, who influenced your fashion and your style? Like, where did that influence come from?
Well, it was two people. It was Huggy Bear on Starsky and Hutch.
Yeah.
And actually, it was this God rest his soul, guy Curtis.
Yeah.
Curtis was killed back in 1200, back in the 70s. I think I was 10 years old, 74 or 75. And Curtis had this big bush, had long nails, and I mean, he stayed in my house, you know, so I was right there up close and personal, you know, to see he kept his nails done, you know, he might plait his hair or whatever like that. So Curtis was a big inspiration in my fashion. And, you know, I wanted to be a pimp when I was young. Tell you the truth, I wanted to be a pimp, you know, because they had the latest fashion. So, but that didn't pan out because I had 4 sisters. So, you know, I couldn't do that to my sisters.
Right.
So outside of Curtis and Huggy Bear, is there anybody else, any other person that you would consider a role model? And Mr. Black, because you mentioned Mr. Black and Miss Mookie. But out of those people, is there anybody else, whether personal, whether professional, that you kind of look at as a role model or who has had an influential impact on your life?
Well, I can go with, you know, Wallace Purry. You know, Wally was one of the ones that advocated for me to get this job at the recreation center. You know, I was volunteering, you know, every day over
A
here.
lot of people didn't know that.
I've been a DC government employee only about 5 years now. But I've been volunteering since 2005. And a lot of people didn't know. They thought I worked here, you know. So I was just volunteering, giving back, and Wallace Purry advocated for me, you know, to actually get this job, and you know, and Wally, you know, he seen a lot of potentials in me, and he know, you know, I was in it to win it. Also, Ms. Mack, you know, I mean, it was countless hours I'd go around and sit with her, you know, and just pick her brains, because Ms. Mack was born and raised in Southwest. Just sitting back, listening to old stories, how Southwest used to be, and who used to live in what house, and, you know, then she got a meal on the stove, you know, hey boy, get you something to eat. Conversate with Miss Patrick, get some history, you know, how to deal with people as far as the job aspect. Also, Mr. Leroy, Mr. Jones. These were 2 men who had kids. They was in 1200, and those were the 2 guys that I didn't want to see if I was hooping school. You know, because both of them called me Paul.
Yeah.
You know, and they had the reign to whoop you. So, you know, none of us didn't want to see those two guys, Mr. Jones and Mr. Leroy.
That's right.
Very instrumental. I mean, you know, some of my friends, you know, Fitzgerald is no longer here. Fitzgerald Hunt, he passed away like 2 years ago. I mean, you know, I seen this guy, you know, he had lost his wife, and he raised his kids by himself.
Yeah.
And, you know, I used to tell him all the time when I come and pick him up the first thing, you know, we used to fashion beat, because, you know, Fitzgerald was always coordinated.
Yeah.
Everything had to match.
Yeah.
And, man, I tell you, this guy here, he was a true man's man, because I used to tell him all the time, and I tell my sisters too, you know, if I had to raise, I knew I wasn't going to raise my kids.
Right.
I said, they'd been right in my sister's house.
Yeah.
But I said, Fitzgerald, I said, boy, I said, sometimes I call you up, you say, I can't go, you know, I got to, you know, feed the kids. Fitzgerald being in the kitchen cooking, macaroni and cheese, you know, all this stuff for his kids. And, you know, it was just, it was a real inspiration for me, you know, to see Fitzgerald, you know, doing this, being a man, raising girls, raising his sons. And I used to take my hat off to him every day I see him, man. You know, just talk to him, conversate with him. And, you know, trying to get him out the house, you know, to go on trips with me and things like that. Just to get him to think about something else, you know. But he'd call me up, and, you know, I just missed that conversation with Fish, you know, especially when we going back and forth with, you know, all the loud colors he wearing with that big old apple hat, and, you know, messing my style up in my car. But I miss you, Fish. I mean, and that was one, you know, death that actually really hit me hard, you know. But, you know, I represented, you know, Fish real well. You know, I went out, personally bought, you know, roses with 1,200 that was, you know, by his casket, you know, because I know that was our bond. And the thing is, you know, I can, you know, Fitzgerald and Junior, he had a brother who passed away also. All of us was good friends. We used to play kickball, and I never forget it. You know, I never knew about allowance. Only way I heard allowance was on the Buffy and Jody show. They used to get allowance.
Yeah.
But when Fish and Junie talking about they wait for the dad so they get allowance, I said, what's going on?
Yeah.
You know, so they used to get allowances back then. You know, I used to go beg for some money, you know. So, you know, shout out to those two brothers who was very, you know, instrumental in my life. And, you know, just being a man, being there for his kids. And, you know, and that's one of the things, you know, a lot of people, you know, you talk about, you know, these great leaders, Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, you know, how much time did they have to spend at home? You know, and so I get a lot of feedback about, you know, well, how was you there for your son, you know, things like that, and you so much in the community, you know. And my son really understood that, you know, that you know, I am about the community. And I brought him down and embraced the community. So, you know, if you ask him where he's from, he ain't gonna say he's from, he gonna say he's from Southwest, you know. So, yeah, but, you know, the thing is that, you know, it's like he's 21 now. He's ready to turn 22 this month, and you know, he think he got all the answers now. And you know, and the thing about Mookie, she told me point blank, you get in trouble, you're on your own. You know, and she meant it. And you know, I did all my bits by myself, but I knew she loved me unconditionally. But she gonna allow me to be a man, and you know that, and that's what I tell my son. You know, you want your own ideas, you want your own identity, but, you know, okay, I'm going to give you enough rope, but I'm going to be here for you.
So, you got another call? Okay. All right, so we're going to pause for station identification.